Have you ever stopped to think about how all the different apps and programs on your computer actually talk to each other? I mean, how they share information. It seems like it should be this super complex thing, but the solution is actually surprisingly simple.
Right? Think about it. You've got your spreadsheet program and you need to get that data into some analysis tool. Or how does your bank, with its giant, complicated database, send you a statement that you can just pop open in a simple little budgeting app? All that data is usually locked away inside its own world, so we need some kind of universal translator to get it from one place to another. Well, it turns out there is a translator, a kind of secret language that's so common, so simple, that it's basically hiding in plain sight. And believe me, it is quietly powering a massive part of our digital lives.
And that secret language? It's the CSV file. So today, let's pull back the curtain on this unsung hero of the data world.
CSV stands for comma separated values, and honestly, the name tells you pretty much everything you need to know. It's just a plain text file, nothing fancy, no secret code. It's used to store data that you'd normally see in a table. Every line in the file is a new row, and every value in that row is just separated by a comma. And that's it. In a world filled with all these complex proprietary file types, the power of the CSV is in its radical simplicity. It's the reason it works as that universal translator we've been talking about. Okay, so what does one of these things actually look like? Let's dissect a CSV and really see the structure behind the data.
So here we have some basic employee data. It's in a nice, clean table, just how we like to see it, right? You've got columns for name, age, and department. It's organized, it's structured, super easy for us to read. But this isn't what the computer actually sees.
This is what the computer sees. It's the exact same information, but this is the raw CSV format. It's just text. Look at it. The first line is just the column headers, all separated by commas, and then every line after that is just a row of data, again, with commas in between the values. That's the whole secret. This simple block of text is the universal language that lets all these different programs communicate.
So let's just break down what makes this so incredibly versatile. First, it's plain text. You can open it and read it in literally any text editor. Second, it's got that clear structure, rows and columns. And finally, that first line usually acts as a header row, which is like a map that tells any program what each piece of data actually means.
So if you're a programmer, how do you actually work with these files? Well, there's a specialized toolkit designed for two main things: reading data from a CSV and writing data to one.
And what's really cool is how symmetrical the whole process is. To read a CSV, a programmer uses something called the csv.reader. It just goes through the file, line by line, row by row. And to write one, you guessed it, they use a csv.writer, and they just add the data one row at a time. It's just a beautifully simple, logical system for getting data in and out of your programs.
But of course, we all know the real world is messy. It's rarely that simple. So what happens when the data itself gets a little complicated? Let's take a look at how the CSV format can handle those challenges.
I mean, this happens all the time. What if someone's name is written as Doe John? That comma in the middle is going to confuse the program. Or what if you're getting data from a system in Europe, where they often use semicolons instead of commas to separate things? Take a look at this, for example. The data itself is perfectly structured, but see that? It's using semicolons instead of commas. Now, a standard CSV reader is going to get totally confused and read this all wrong. But the solution is so elegant. A programmer can just tell the tool what to expect. They just add one tiny instruction, in this case, delimiter equals semicolon. And that tells the reader, hey, for this file, use a semicolon as the separator, not a comma. And just like that, problem solved. And that's really just the beginning. Programmers have tons of control. They can change that separator, the delimiter, to a pipe symbol, a tab, pretty much whatever they want. They can also define a quote character, usually a double quote, to wrap around any data that might have a comma in it. They can even control exactly when those quotes get used, which makes sure the final file is both correct and as clean as possible.
All right, so we've talked about the how. Let's get to the why. Where do we actually see these CSVs being used out there in the wild?
So let's picture a company. They save all their daily sales data in a big CSV file. It's got columns for the product name, how many were sold, the price, all that good stuff. And now they need to figure out what their best-selling products are. A program can read that simple CSV file, process all those rows of text, calculate the totals, and boom, generate a report that looks like this.
The raw, kind of boring text data from the CSV gets transformed into a really powerful business insight. It's all thanks to that simple, comma-separated format.
Okay, here's another one you see all the time. Let's say a website gets a list of new user signups from a partner. It gets delivered as a CSV file, and now they need to get all of those new users into their main database.
Now, the CSV file is just the very first step in a really critical process. The program reads the user info from the file, sure, but then it has to validate that data, make sure the email addresses are in the right format. Then it has to sanitize the inputs, which is a crucial security step to clean up the data, and only after all of that can it safely insert that clean data into the database. The humble CSV acts as the universal front door for this entire super important process.
So, when you get right down to it, this humble, plain text format is one of the pillars of our digital world. It connects countless systems with a shared, simple language. And it kind of makes you wonder, as technology gets more and more complex, what's the next deceptively simple idea that's out there just waiting to change everything?